Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Friday. It is January 19th, 2024. And as I stand here, I await to see if I'm going to be able to fly out from Central Florida to New York tonight, as the weather is crazy. The weather is nuts. We'll see how it goes. So far, my flight's delayed a half hour, even though there's been a lot of cancellations and a lot of this, that, and the other thing. Anyway. Hey, I hope you're having a good day. As always, this is serious talk about you and everything that affects you, the markets. Oh, and we'll be talking the markets today. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll do one of our little lessons today on the show. Not sure it shows up too well on a radio, but I think you'll get it. And every now and then we throw a little comedy into the show, but we really haven't had comedy as of late because there are still many hostages. We just found out 30 of them were found dead. And we're just going to leave it at that. You know where we stand. If you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And of course, if you don't follow us, you really should. And you can email us. Just be nice. I want to get right into the markets. We'll do whining and complaining later. So, we have to hearken back. You know, they tell us, you can't time the market. Just think long term. They don't tell you Citigroup is still 95% below the highs of 08. Think long term. Do I need to tell you where Peloton is and Beyond Meat? Those were very, very faddish. So they tell us you can't time things, so how are we able to? Interesting. So we're going to hearken back a little bit, and typically what we do is not exactly on the precise side, but very close to it. But I must tell you, since July, pretty much as precise as can be, as we have come on this show and actually said specifically certain things. So from July to end of October, we had just simply told you every day 80% of the markets in downtrends. Then we listed all the areas that we want you to avoid and all that crap. And then at the end of October, a couple of days before, we said, just letting you know, sentiment is about as bearish as can be. Everybody's bearish. And for good reason. There were 1,000 new yearly lows. Russell 2000 was at bear market lows. And then the day before November 1st, the trading day, we basically said, okay, maybe. We're going to need some proof. November 1st, we had a confirmation day. It's basically a day, a characteristic. We have studied these things that potentially turn markets. Now, these confirmation days, they call them follow-through days. Just because there is one does not mean you have a new bull phase. But every bull phase has started with one. So we rallied up. And rallied up insanely in that interest rates crashed. Yields crashed to the downside. They crashed. And we rallied, and then December 20th to the day, we said to you, we thought we hit a spot where we think we're not going to get much upside from here. And we think there's some things topping out. And it's exactly what happened. Remember that 80% I mentioned? That 80% started coming in, with some things really breaking down, some things pulling back. And when we say pulling back, that's not necessarily a negative. You know, up 8, down 4, that's okay. You're keeping your uptrends. Yesterday, we said to you, we think that woke up. We think it woke up. And in between all this was the artificial intelligence and the software stocks. You see, while that 80% was pulling back, breaking down, doing whatever it was doing, NVIDIA breaks out, and we gave it to you the day before. We were talking NVIDIA for weeks leading up, but the day before, on a Friday, we said to you, a move above 506, and we're just letting you know we don't do this very often. But this is the best looking chart pattern I have seen in ages. It's 6 months of range bound, hit a low of 400 three times, then rallied up, and then only pulled back to 450, then it only pulled back to 480. Looked like it was going to break out the week before that the market got hit. Monday it breaks out. And we told you the longer something stays in a range, the more potential of a big move. NVIDIA was up another $23.84 today to $594.91. We're getting a lot of emails from people telling me they want to buy me dinner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, 506 to 595. That's a big move. But really, the lesson was not about NVIDIA, though we have told you got to print out that chart, because when we see that again, boy, oh boy. And coming in today, we had one chart that kind of sort of looked that way. We'll get into that in a little bit. What I want to talk about is the cousin stocks. So if NVIDIA breaks out, arguably it's probably the number one technology stock in the market, bellwether. I think it's taken over for Apple right now, though Apple's rallied for a couple of days on a couple of positive comments. What do we mean by cousin stocks? Well, what does NVIDIA do? Well, computer chips. For what? Well, they're really big in artificial intelligence. What other companies are involved in artificial intelligence? And well, Broadcom, Advanced Micro Devices, Facebook has been announcing a bunch on it, Microsoft, Adobe, which probably woke up today, Supermicro, SMCI, Taiwan Semiconductor. And of course, Taiwan Semiconductor yesterday gapped up big time as a company that the last 4 quarters sales were -3, -14, -12, and 0, said, oh, we're headed to 25%. And due to the fact we know Taiwan and NVIDIA are tied at the hip, guess what else? So Broadcom, guess what Broadcom does today? It breaks out. Stock was up $67, new high, an ascending base. $67, new yearly high. What else? AMD. Well, we picked that one off last week. Last week, 149. It's 175. Up 11.5 today. 26 bucks on 149. It's about 17%. In 7 trading days, cousin stock. Microsoft broke out at 382. Slow boat. That's in 7 days, 382 to 398 and change today. Facebook picked it off at support. About 2 weeks, 349. 383. The cousins. And that's what we always talk about, sectors. What have we been telling you? Avoid what? China. It's a country. Gold miners. Oils. Sectors. Stocks move schools of fish. And you need to know that. So this move has been incredible on the back of a major league guidance upgrade in number. by First Taiwan Semiconductor. And it's of import. It's of import. And then SMCI. What did we say to you before? If there's anything that looks like NVIDIA, it's this one. And they don't report earnings for 12 days. But they came out last night and said guidance for the quarter. Earnings is going to be $5.40. That's my music. We'll continue with this up next on this, the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
So Supermicro and its pure artificial intelligence and all that crap announces that instead of earning $4.51, they're going to earn between $5.40 and $5.55 versus a $3.26. What is that, 70%? I'm just throwing a number. Could be 75, could be 65, could be 80. I don't have my rusty abacus out. And then they go on to say revenues that was supposed to be $2.8 billion for the quarter are going to be 3.6 to 3.65. That's 100% revenue gain from last year. So guess what? 1 plus 1 equals 2. The pivot on this one was 358. It broke above it within seconds of the open. Within a couple of minutes was 380. Closed at 423 today, up $112, 36%. Cousin stocks. And of course, software, internet, and all that other crap had moves today. New yearly high list laden with these areas. Simple as that. Yeah, simple. Got to work at it. So just letting you know. And when you go through the new high list tonight, you'll see software, internet, chips. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index finished at a new all-time high today. Was it an all-time high? I got to make sure. Hold on. Yep. On the back of these names. And if Taiwan Semi says, 25% sales, well, that's the equipment makers. Lam Research up 40 today, 5%. 23 for KLA Tencor, about 4. 7.5 on AMAT, about 4.5, 5. And they were up huge yesterday, I'm a little pissed, though. They're all reporting next week. I couldn't buy them. I would have bought the crap out of Lam Research today. That's my favorite one. I would have bought the heck out of it. I would have probably ended up paying $8.05. It closed at $8.25. I can't buy it. They report Tuesday. I ain't getting in front of that. The one thing I don't have is Barbara Eden as Jeannie with next week's newspaper today. She did that for Roger Healy. He went to the horse track. He was crazy. He should have just done the stock market. Cousin Stocks. And then the wake-up call from yesterday, we told you. And by the way, that yesterday's wake-up call that I said out of nowhere didn't come out of nowhere. We noticed at 1 o'clock yesterday when things were doing nothing, out of nowhere, the transports just rallied up 200 points. And then we noticed that it held the all-important 50-day moving average. And then we went to these other areas, that 80%, and noticed where they were holding support and said, okay, this is the drop is probably over, though. A little more narrow than you want, but guess what the market did today? Dow up 395, S&P up 58, NASDAQ 255, and the NASDAQ 100 331. What the hell's with that? I'll tell you what the hell's with that, the names I had mentioned to you. And now Adobe today, which has been dead money, and is AI, breaks back above the 50-day moving average, and it looks like that's going to be in play here. That's just another one. And Apple, that held the 200-day moving average like a trooper, gaps up yesterday on some positive comments, a little bit more today. But that's just sitting in 7 months of range. And Booking Holdings, the price line, the old price line up 87. Mercado Libre 64. And a bunch of 6, 7s, and 8s and all that crap. Cousin Stocks. The financials, they woke up. You know, the big banks only had minor pullbacks. Now they're already back to the recent high. The regional banks, much worse, but they held the 50-day moving average to the penny 2 days ago. That's how this crap works. But they tell you you can't time the market. Let me tell you why they say that. Because they're a bunch of lazy dolts that invest you in 150 stocks and hope and pray the market goes up. And in bear markets, they tell you, don't worry, everything's okay. It'll come back. We got 100 years of history. But they forget to tell you a bunch of their stocks are never coming back. And they forget to tell you, you know, in 08, it was 56% drop. Oh, in 2000, NASDAQ dropped 80-some-odd%. Oh, by the way, Merrill Lynch, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, Countrywide Financial, Wachovia, we're all out of business. Citigroup would have gone out of business, but they were saved, but still down 95%. They don't tell you that. So we'll stick to what we do. We'll let them be lazy. We're going to work our arses off on a daily basis and find the leading stocks and the leading groups with the best earnings and revenue growth and know the reasons why. We did a deep dive today on Taiwan Semiconductor. I was up at 6 a.m. this morning. I promised myself I was going to spend 45 minutes on it, see exactly what's going on. Make sure they weren't full of caca, and they are not. And the market's rewarding it. I do not own Taiwan Semiconductor, but I can promise you this, I will. Not yet. And that is your cousin stock theory, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I got some emails today, Gary. You know, 10-year yields up to 4.146. Why is the market doing this? Yields are backed up a little bit. Huh. You know what I think? When you have a chance, I want you to go look at the 10-year yield and what it bumped up against today. The declining 50-day moving average. And you know what I think? I think the market has an inkling that next week yields are coming back down. We'll see. Guess what? Don't care. We're in leading stocks and leading groups, and they're going en fuego for a change. And I will tell you this. This is not normal. It is not normal what we are seeing right now, some of these moves. But we deal in reality here, and we'll see where it decides to take us. I was emailed today also, Gary, you think we're in the midst of 1999, that big, gigantic, climactic move at the end? I have no idea. Don't care about that either. I don't predict. I interpret. Interpret. How do you pronounce that? Interpret or interpret? I'm going to have to look that up. You know, you can go on Google and just put in a word and say pronounce, and it gives you the pronouncement. I had to do that for the new Argentinian president, Milei. He's like the second coming of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And he's running Argentina. Up next, what else we got for you? We'll figure it out. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I was mentioning this guy Milei, Javier Milei. He's runs the joint in Argentina. He's been giving the middle finger to the Bernie Sanders types like there's no tomorrow. I think he's been listening to this radio show. He keeps talking about exactly what I've been telling you. A bunch of misfits, know-it-alls, that have never run businesses are running governments and running us into the ground. They keep killing us and we keep fighting back and making them look good. You got Joe Biden out making like he's big swinging you-know-what. Look what's going on in the market. Like he's got anything to do with it. Yeah, sure. We're going to run a $2 trillion deficit and hand out. By the way, he handed out more money today. He handed out another few $1 billion today to students on their student loans. And I was thinking to myself, imagine if this control freak, instead of forgiving student loans for people that legally signed loans that they're supposed to pay back, imagine if he handed that money over to a bunch of boys and girls clubs around the country that really have a return on the investment on those bucks. But he can't do that, you know why? Because kids don't vote. Remember, this is all freaking vote buying. Thomas Jefferson warned us about control freaks like this. And he's not the first. He's not the last. He's just setting track records. Can you tell he nauseates me? And he doubly nauseates me because at least you had the journalists all over Trump's you-know-what. But the journalists, the media, kiss Biden's butt. Remember they had the 10,000 lies in the Washington Post of Donald Trump? I think there's 40,000 on Joe Biden. But there's no list. Anyway, I digress. I sent myself the article, and I actually can't find it. If I do, I will gladly let you know. I'm very good at sending these things to me, and for some reason, but another $6 billion today, just hand-picking people. Now, I must say, this $6 billion is going to, or teachers, firemen and women, public, whatever they officials. I'm almost okay with that. There's this thought process, if you do enough time as a public service person, I'm almost okay with that. The reason why it's an almost is because they signed loan documents. The colleges got paid. And the reason why the colleges are able to continue to raise tuition is because they're guaranteed by the government when somebody can't pay. It's the stupidest idea I've heard in a long time from a government with stupid ideas. You sign a loan, you're supposed to pay it back. That's all. That's the contract. And you are wee-weeing in the face of people that didn't go to college because they're paying for this, and anybody else out there. And then there are people that are paying back their loans. What about them? Oh, they did not fit into your template? In the news. Now, I must tell you, New York Post had this article. Has Biden bribed Mexico to control the border and help him win election? I just want to let you know, the fact that it's an election year, here is the good news on the border. At the end of December, Border Patrol encounters of illegal immigrants crossing each day was 12 to 14,000. It's now a crappy number still, but it's down to 4 to 5,000. Mexico now are rounding up immigrants in their country's north and shipping them by bus and airplane to the southern cities of Mexico, and then send them home. They've also emptied and bulldozed migrant camps. They're also stopping cargo trains that have basically supersized the Biden border crisis. And it is the Biden border crisis. Why is Mexico all of a sudden doing this? It's simple. The Biden administration was down in Mexico 2 weeks ago. And I can bet your bottom dollar they said, if you want Trump as president, you keep doing what you're doing. We need your help. So right now, do us a favor. And that's what they're doing. It's an election year. That's what's going on. Good news is, the outcome is good news. Whichever way you want to look at it. So this president that could have been doing this for the last 3 years, now in election year, knowing that his poll numbers are lower than jock itch and root canal, goes to Mexico and pleads, come on, it's 24. And Mexico at his behest, they're doing it. He could have done it for the last 3 years. Instead, kids have died. Families have been broken up. Adults have died. Communities have been stretched. Cities have been stretched. Taxpayers have been taking all kinds of money out of their pockets and handed to people. Homeless aren't getting anything. The migrants are. Imagine that. And of course, you got a bunch of Marxists wanting them to come in and vote immediately. Vote for me. Come on. We'll show you how to do it. Yeah, right here. Sign right here. Oh, you don't have a Social Security number? It's okay. Anyway, that's in the news. By the way, I'm not full a lot of news. I also want to mention, we said that we've been covering San Fran. San Fran, KPMG is leaving. See ya. A ton of office space gone. Now, the downtown mall, the fifth store in a month, going bye-bye. Madewell exits. Aldo goes 75% empty shop centers value, plunging from $1.2 billion to $290 million in 8 years. Must be racism. No, it's these Marxist control freaks that somehow put criminals ahead of citizenry that don't get it. And now there's Maine. And now there's Maine. What did we tell you about Maine the other day and what they want to do? They want to take your kids away. If you as a parent want to know if your kid wants to, transition the state over the parent. Maine's Legislature Committee on Health and Human Services on Wednesday spent 4 hours discussing a proposal to decriminalize all drugs. Yes. The bill introduced by a Democrat from Newcastle, Lydia Crafts, would also increase funding for health care for addicts. Like that helps. Oregon in 2020 became the first state to do that. How has that worked out? Just a question. But the experiment has been problematic, 13-fold increase in ODs. So why would Maine follow a place that did the same thing and it ended up bad? Because you got a bunch of nut jobs in power. Bunch of nut jobs in power. Just like we talked about John Hopkins. A woman came out and said all these races are privileged. We'll give you the outcome. Up next, this, that, and the other thing, whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to...
What are we waiting for? Well, what are you waiting for? 1, 2, ready, go. Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
So, Gary. Da-da-da. By the way, I'm not so sure Russia's touring anymore. Alex Lifeson came out and basically said he doesn't think so, so I'm kind of depressed. Darn it. Why are we talking about these cities? Because some of these people may be president one day. So they got this chief diversity officer at Johns Hopkins University. Let me read a memo she put out. Privilege is a set of unearned benefits given to people who are in a specific social group. Privilege operates on personal, interpersonal, cultural, and institutional levels, and it provides advantages and favors to members of dominant groups at the expense of members of other groups. In the United States, privilege is granted to people who have membership in one or more of these social identity groups. White people, able-bodied people, heterosexuals, cisgender people, males, Christians, middle or owning class people, middle-aged people, English-speaking people. Privilege is characteristically invisible to people who have it. People in dominant groups often believe they have earned the privileges they enjoy, or that everyone could have access to these privileges if only they worked to earn them. In fact, privileges are unearned and are granted to people in the dominant groups whether they want those privileges or not, and regardless of their state intent. This woman's a yutz. Imagine you're sitting in your bed and you're thinking to yourself, what can I dream of today? And let's put out a memo to all of our employees that if you're white, you are privileged, and go get in your corner. What the hell is going on here? And do you think she was fired? No. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Do you know how much of this is going on right now? A ton. Oh, and the apology. The newsletter included a definition of the word privilege, which upon reflection I deeply regret. The intent of the newsletter is to inform and support an inclusive community at Hopkins, but the language of the definition clearly did not meet that goal. You're an idiot. In fact, because it was overly simplistic, no, you're overly simplistic. You're a doofus. And poorly worded, it had the opposite effect of being exclusionary and hurtful to members of our community. This is a moron. And she runs the joint. I retract and disavow the definition I shared, and I am sorry. I will work to ensure that future messages better reflect our organizational values. Holy crap. The utter hypocrisy. I was seeing John Kerry yesterday, all pissed off because somebody asked him about all his private jet flying. Oh, I'm doing it for the people. It's amazing to watch. And there's just so much of it. My favorite one is the carbon credits. Yeah, I can do the private jets because I buy carbon credits. You're still polluting. This is what we're dealing with. This is how you get Donald Trump. This is how you get Donald Trump. If you think about it, just think about the person Donald Trump. You wouldn't want him selling your Girl Scout cookies. He's going to be the next president probably because of the other side just hands him all the weaponry. It's unbelievable. You know what's made this country great? Hard work. Earned. Meritocracy. Do you know why the Marxist Party is losing? Blacks and Hispanics now? The Hispanics left under Trump. Because they just want to work hard. Do better for themselves and family. Greatness doesn't have any gender, religion, bias. Everybody wants to be great at something. Everyone wants to grow into something, be a leader, be wealthy, be philanthropic, be a mentor. Race, creed, or color, who cares? Yet, this Marxist party, led by Joseph Biden, keeps telling them, oh, you need us. They don't need them, and they're realizing it. They've been sold a bill of crap forever. It's how you get Donald Trump. Sing it in real time. We teach the kids at the Boys and Girls Clubs, hey, put your head down. Work hard. Get a mentor. Study leadership skills. Learn how to speak in front of an audience. Know how to handle a computer. Stay off drugs. It's not cool. Alcohol is not cool. Ask questions if you don't know. Find something you're good at or great at, or find something you love and go towards it. And earn it. Nope. Joe Biden, them. Yeah, we'll give it to you. Just vote for us. And that's what's going on. This whole diversity. What? What? I rest my case. Heading into the weekend. Dudes, the AI tech software semiconductor area is en fuego. They are stretched, extended, and overbought. And that didn't stop them today. We've parked our carcass right neck deep into these areas. And we're even surprised by the moves. And let's just hope they continue. Earnings in droves start. Well, they started this week. But next week, a lot more and a lot more after. I can give you a list, but it really doesn't matter. It's just a ton of names. And some of them, as I stated earlier, man, I would have loved to buy today, but I am not buying a stock that's reporting earnings on Tuesday. No, thank you very much. Again, I don't have I Dream a Genie. So I hope you've been listening. We're going to keep working hard at this. Hopefully earn the fruits of our labor. We'll see you Monday. Have a great evening. Drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Thanks for joining again. Really. Peace out all. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.